This is Jonathan Yates, and we're back up on Capitol Hill again, this time interviewing Representative Glenn Thompson about what makes his district, the 5th in Pennsylvania, so special with its culture of sports. Representative Thompson, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Well, Jonathan, my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk sports.
Well, Western Pennsylvania has provided us with Big Oil from Titusville, Big Steel, now Big Medicine in the Pittsburgh area, the first pro football conference with the Western PA Football Conference. What's it like representing such an area in Congress?
Yeah, it's a great privilege and an honor. These are salt-of-the-earth families and communities where that have a lot of family values, and it's a privilege and honor. God's blessed us with resources there. As I like to say, without a robust rural America, people in the city will wake up in the cold, dark, and hungry. And that is what we provide. Agriculture is our #1 industry. Folks work hard. It's family agriculture. But you referenced energy.
Yes.
The birthplace of oil in 1859, the first commercial oil well anywhere in the world is outside of Titusville, Pennsylvania. I have a congressional office there.
And the birthplace of the Heisman Trophy, too.
Birthplace of the Heisman Trophy. Coach Heisman, he coached was from Titusville. And this is a man who, and we're real proud of that fact. We remember him with a memorial right outside of the football field. He went on to really, I don't think a lot of people remember, he's the one that really, he transformed football.
Yes.
The father of the forward pass, there were just all the different formations, and we're real proud that he was from northwestern Pennsylvania.
Now, when you speak about the north forward pass, I don't think anywhere in the country has produced more great quarterbacks in western Pennsylvania. You have Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Joe Theismann, Jim Kelly. What's it up there like? What produces all those? You talk tough players, you don't think quarterback. They wear the yellow jersey in practice, which means don't hit.
No, I think a lot of it is it's the culture there. It's the hard work ethics there. Most of those quarterbacks came out of around the Pittsburgh area, where the steel mills. People worked hard. Those were difficult jobs, but they were proud of what they did. I also think it speaks to a lot of the opportunity that comes through smaller, reasonably sized high schools, where more kids have an opportunity to identify their gifts and develop them, and that's what Pennsylvania has known for with our sports. We have a few larger high school, obviously, and there's a trend, I think, unfortunately, towards that. But the smaller, more medium-sized high schools really give more kids a shot. That next Johnny Unitas, who maybe in high school doesn't blossom in high school, but and in a larger high school, he's kind of down the depth chart. But in a smaller high school, he has a chance to really to develop his skills and bloom. I think it's a combination of all those things.
So what's a Friday night game like at a small high school in your district in Pennsylvania?
You don't schedule political events on Friday night. That's rule #1 in the fall. It is. I'm a product of that. I played on a high school football team when I was played varsity from a freshman my senior year, and it really is. It's a part of the fabric of the community. The people come out to support the kids, the alumni, the parents. It's a fun time. Football season is certainly. I mean, you could almost say normally people think in terms of we have 4 seasons. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Well, we've got football season too.
So what are some of those values you talk about in Western Pennsylvania?
Western Pennsylvania values, you work hard, you earn what you achieve, you learn discipline, you learn that life has consequences, and sometimes I think the values, the family, the faith-based values equip you to deal with certainly not just the good times, but the hard times, the more difficult times, and those do occur in life. Those are, one of the values I talk a lot about being from that part of Pennsylvania, my home area, but I think it pertains throughout the country. It's more of a rural value. It may pertain to urban area. I just have never lived there, and that is when the worst part about living in in those communities and rural communities is that everybody knows your business. As a kid, you're out. When I was out, by the time I got home, if I did something I shouldn't have done, my parents knew about it till I got home.
Well, if you were starting freshman in varsity, something was working.
Yeah, well, but the best part of living in those areas, though, is everybody knows your business.
Yes.
And it's about how the community comes together. That's what we see on Friday nights. That's what we see at our wrestling meets and our baseball games and our fire company and our Grange functions. And it's a great value.
Now, in an article I read about all the great football players from Western Pennsylvania, the last sentence said, "It's a tough area to live, but the people are tougher." How does that impact the culture of sports there?
I think that it does. You learn, at least when I was growing up, you learn to work hard. I mean, as you did your part. You did what you needed to do to support your family, and you saw those role models, your parents, your grandparents, who went off to work, whether it was in a steel mill or my dad worked at a brass works, and you had great examples of what it took when it came time to working hard and showing discipline. And let's face it, that's a big part of sports, isn't it?
Yes.
That discipline, that working hard. The best athletes are the ones that don't even think about what they perform when they're on the field or on the mat or on the court or on that baseball diamond. It becomes muscle memory because of how they've disciplined themselves and how hard they work. I think that's how it intersects.
And do you think those values have helped you in your success as a businessman with your Eagle Scout activities and as a member of Congress?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, they absolutely, we're a product of our life experiences. And so I absolutely believe that all of those experiences helped me. For the most part in high school, I was very quiet. If I didn't have to talk, wasn't forced to talk, I wasn't going to talk. And I have to tell you, when my wrestling coach put me out on the mat, and it's me and another guy, and our gym was full. We've got a really strong wrestling reputation. At my high school, that team has won the state title a number of times. That gym is filled to capacity to the rafters. You learn to overcome that self-consciousness, but you learn also to focus and to get the job done.
Now, even though my hero, Pete Maravich, was born in Western PA, it probably has the best wrestling in the country. Penn State just won its 7th NCAA championship in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about Pennsylvania that leads to such great wreckling? Even though Iowa would disagree, obviously, and Representative Jordan, too.
Well, we've got a couple Iowa coaches leading that Penn State team. We're real proud of those brothers. They do a great job. I think it really does come down to coaching, a big part of it. We're very fortunate to be able to recruit and retain great coaches. My coach, Dick Rose, my high school wrestling coach, is a member of the Wrestling Hall of Fame. It was about discipline and hard work, and you need the right leadership when it comes to a team. I was fortunate to be able to have that in high school football and in all the sports I played, wrestling, track. I had dedicated adult coaches who were good at what they did, but they knew how to lead, and they knew how to really teach through principles. And it made a big difference in my life.
And did you feel that the wrestling has also helped in Congress, since it's more of an independent type sport than playing football?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've talked about that frequently. A few years ago, I was enrolled in the Pennsylvania chapter of the Wrestling Hall of Fame for my service as a wrestler, not so much for my record as a wrestler. I enjoyed all my sports, and I talked a lot about that at that induction about the discipline that you learn in wrestling. It is competitiveness, but it's the conditioning, it's the discipline.
Eating celery stalks at Thanksgiving.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. It's all those things.
Now, when you talk tough, you focus on the wrestlers and the football players. But, looking at Erica Hetrick, your Naval Academy appointee. Now,
from Clarion Limestone High School.
What can you tell us about her? I live next door to the Naval Academy.
Yeah, well, she's going to love Annapolis, first of all. Real proud of her. First of all, I'm proud of her because she expressed interest in serving our nation as by earning an education at Annapolis and going on to be a United States military officer. She's an all-around great young lady. Her obviously she had all the there's, you know, going into the military academy, we look at 3 different types of things. We look at, first of all, academics, and she was outstanding,
yes.
outstanding,
National Honor Society,
top of her class. But we also look at physical fitness. It is the military,
yes.
And so you look at her record involvement with sports, her physical activities, and then leadership is the 3rd component, just as important as the other 2. And for her involvement in sports, her leadership that she's demonstrated, it just, very proud of her. And I know that she just received her acceptance letter, and so she's going to be coming your direction here in a little later.
Yeah,
this
she'll be
summer.
running outside my window at 5 in the mornings like the other plebes during plebe summer. What are the community sports organizations like in your district that produces someone like an Erica Hetrick?
They're good programs. They really are. We have programs. Unfortunately, they wax and wane. They come and they go depending on the availability, again, of adults. It really comes down to adult coaching. But usually we're able to sustain our youth programs, whether it's AYSO soccer, whether it's Little League. We're not too far from the. In fact, I practiced healthcare in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. So at one time, I actually represented the home of Little League Baseball, South Williamsport, the stadium there, and the headquarters. So we have a strong tradition, of all the youth sports, and that really, that develops early. That the basic fundamentals and knowledge, and I think learning about discipline and I think it helps to influence and it helps us prepare and field a lot of great teams till we get to the high school and the college level.
Well, what was it like having Williamsport in your district, dealing with the Little League World Series?
It was pretty cool, actually. I practiced healthcare for 28 years, rehabilitation services, and so it was interesting to really know the family members of the man who founded this Little League, and he really did it for all the right reasons. It was because he was concerned that kids really had too much time on their hands, and that they could use just a little more direction. They could use an opportunity for engagement, and so I know those first Little League games were actually in the city of Williamsport, out in Newberry. There's a park out there where they occurred. Today is across the Susquehanna River in South Williamsport, but it's pretty. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to represent that area, and that area is a big part of my life where I worked professionally, for all those years as well.
Did they have any special needs from you as a member of Congress?
No, not really. It's amazing during the World Series how the community steps up.
Yes.
They don't look for a lot of government dollars or anything like that.
That's refreshing.
I've participated in those parades many years where all those teams are coming in from all over the world. Families that open up their homes and become host mom and dads for these teams. I'd call it a celebration, actually, of way they approach it. And the games have been outstanding. These kids have done well.
Did it remind you a lot of your Eagle Scout activities?
Absolutely. I mean, scouting is a big part of my life. I was fortunate when when I was about 11 years old, my mom and dad did an amazing thing. They brought another boy into our home, a foster brother, and he had been involved in scouting. I was a younger brother. Mom and dad promised to continue in scouting, and I got to tag along. And scouting's been a big part of a big influence over my life. The principles of scouting still guide me each and every day. When I'm on the floor and I'm voting, I just came from the floor, I ask myself 4 questions, what I call principle-based leadership. And the decision I'm about to make, first of all, what is my duty to God? The decision I'm making is righteous according to God's word. If the answer is yes on that, I continue. If no, I stop right there. And then I go on to what is my duty to country? What does the Constitution have to say? What is my duty to others, the more than 730,000 citizens I serve in 24% of the landmass of Pennsylvania today. And finally, what is my duty to self? Which sounds a little self-serving, but for those who are involved in scouting, we know that when we say duty to self, what we mean is in every decision we make and every action we take, we are prepared to do our best. So we've done our homework ahead of time.
And did those Eagle Scout values help you in sports too?
They did. It's a tough balance when you're involved in scouting and involved in sports, but it can be done. I'm kind of a product of that, having three sports consumed in 3 sports seasons throughout the year. Football, wrestling, and track, but at the same time maintain an active involvement in the scouting program.
Well, one thing you were fortunate as a scout is to be in one of the great outdoor activity areas in the world in western Pennsylvania.
Sure is.
You've got fantastic fly fishing, fantastic hunting. What other things do you have in your district that contribute to the culture of outdoor sports?
Yeah, we refer to it as it's the Pennsylvania Wilds, and it really is. We have all these wonderful rivers where you can canoe, you can raft, kayak. We do have some of the best fishing, both lakes and rivers and streams. One of my favorites is Spruce Creek, where there's some great fly fishing there.
You're giving out your secret holes?
Well, absolutely. It's
Nothing's too good for your constituents,
all good to be shared. But we have, we have hunting is a long tradition, a rich tradition in Pennsylvania. In fact, most schools don't have school the first day of buck season, which is the first Monday after Thanksgiving. That's considered a holiday and off limits, so schools are closed. But we just have the great outdoors today. We have a lot of folk art that's reflective of the Pennsylvania wilds. We have the geocaching today. There's just a tremendous amount of great activity that you can enjoy. My congressional district is home to one of the few eastern national forests, the Allegheny National Forest, which is an amazing place. Yes. And a great place to be able to visit and spend time. And we're hiking, backpacking, camping. There's just endless opportunities for outdoor activities.
You know, one of the great success stories in the private sector working with government in Pennsylvania has been developing an outstanding wine industry. How's that like in your district?
Yeah, it's been incredible. Very important to me. Actually, I'm vice chair of the Agriculture Committee.
Yes.
And chair of the Nutrition Subcommittee. And we have some of the finest grapes. We have the right soils and climates up in that northwestern Pennsylvania off of Lake Erie. As an agribusiness, wineries are very, very popular, and they're springing up everywhere.
There's one in all 50 states now.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've gone to distilleries, which is also an agribusiness.
Yes.
Obviously, the craft breweries, again, is an agribusiness. All uses those things that God has blessed us with. Yes. For agriculture commodities, and it's a very, very strong business and a great part of not just the agriculture industry, but also which is our #1 industry in Pennsylvania, but it's also a part of our #2 industry in Pennsylvania, which is tourism.
So when you're looking at the 3 feet of snow that Erie got, on Christmas Day this year, are you thinking, boy, there's going to be some great wines this summer?
Actually, when it gets real cold like
Yes.
that, I'm thinking there's going to be some great ice wines. Because anything they didn't get off the vines by the time those first snows fell, and where the temperatures really drop, tends to wind up in ice wines, which are actually pretty good.
Yeah, well, Pennsylvania has outstanding Chambersons. I can say that
Absolutely.
from personal tasting experience. Let's talk about Title IX. What's that impact been on your district?
It's been great.
I mean, obviously, Erica Hetrick is living proof.
Yeah, no, it's a balance, and I think that's where we're at today. It's been during my lifetime. Title IX served a very important role to make sure that we were providing equal access to sports for individuals of both genders, and I think that we see that today with the quality of athletes like Erica and many others that have. They're coming up, and the opportunities are now cutting across all age groups, not just waiting for kind of a high school level, but we have junior high, middle school, and elementary school programs for boys and girls.
So it's been a great year for champions already in Pennsylvania. So this is sort of a Sophie's choice. What if the Steelers had been playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl?
I may have to stay home. My choice are the Steelers. Usually, always, 100%. My campaign colors are gold and black. But I will say I love the Eagles at this point. What they did was a Cinderella story. The coach that they had, who just a few years ago was coaching high school football, that quarterback who was the backup quarterback.
He's
really,
not exactly the GOAT, that's for sure.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Not out of Western Pennsylvania, that's for sure.
We have a defensive coach, I guess that is I believe it's from Lebanon County, not my district, but central Pennsylvania. And so I will have to say, at this point, I support both teams. You got to support the Eagles, but I will, after this past season, I'm always going to support the Steelers.
When you talk about the strength of your faith, did it surprise you that Villanova's had such a strong basketball program using spirituality in sports as they do?
They got a great reputation. I'm proud of Philadelphia. I tell people I'm the most bipartisan member from Pennsylvania. I graduated from Penn State, from Temple,
yes.
And I represent 2 PIC campuses today. And so I've spent my time as a working professional taking classes in the evening in Philadelphia. And Temple has such a great reputation for football, and Villanova does as well. And so very, very proud of that program. Actually, I've got a son who is just got a full ride to Villanova, and is,
for football.
No, for theater.
Oh, okay.
And so he's been a very talented and very influential music teacher, teaching middle school kids. But I was very proud of him. He got recruited and received this. He's looking forward to earning a master's degree from Villanova, and I told him he's coming at a great time. He can ride this basketball victory there.
Is he going to be getting the old man tickets to the games, you hope?
I don't know. We'll have to see what connections he gets.
Pennsylvania is also the best in the country for field hockey, which you certainly don't think of when you think football and wrestling. How did that dominance come about?
Well, it's always been a part of our programs for many, many years. My wife and I tell people I married into the executive branch. She was my 7th grade class president. Okay. We went to high school together, and we've been together since 10th grade, actually. But she played field hockey, and it was an important sport when we were in high school, which was a few years ago. And so I think it is because what helps those sports is where you develop that, I don't want to say a bench, I guess, but where you have youth sports.
Sure.
And field hockey is one of those, and we've got kind of a long tradition. Maybe it was under the radar for a long time in our high schools, but the fact is we're seeing that pay off now with a couple generations later with the talent of individuals that are involved with it.
You see that with Penn State volleyball too.
Oh yeah, Penn State volleyball team's amazing to watch, and they have such a great record. They're normally finishing on top or close to top, and I think that's again a part of the development of youth sports that we've had that empowers girls with the skills and the experience, the fundamentals, and then with the right coaching pushes them to a level of excellence to where they're able to compete at an institution like Penn State. And as a team coming together, those teams are able to achieve great things like national championships.
Now, has your district been able to maintain the community atmosphere for sports, or because others, like where I grew up, you've seen the travel teams and the select teams and the AAU squads and the shoe teams sort of take away from the local high schools. Has Western Pennsylvania been able to keep that spirit?
I think so. It has, by and large. And to the most part, I think the traveling teams, the off-season teams, at least up to this point, have enhanced our high school athletics because it's given our kids an opportunity to learn from different experiences, different competitions, different competitors, maybe to be able to actually teamwork with folks during the actual high school season, maybe competitors, but they're teammates on some of these traveling teams. And it's quite a commitment though by both the students and the parents, and so. But I don't see it detracting, at least up to this point in my area. By and large, I guess I've seen it contributed positively.
One thing that is unique about the culture of sports in Pennsylvania is you have so many D3 powerhouse colleges in sports. How did that develop?
just a long tradition, I guess. I mean, we do have, Pennsylvania's a big state, though, geographically. I mean, it takes a long time if you're going end to end or top to bottom. And population, about 14 million, north of 14 million citizens in Pennsylvania. Geographically or transportation-wise, one that's easy to get to. We do have different types of, agriculture is our #1 industry, but we have many different industries we're known for in Pennsylvania, and the birthplace of many industries. And so I think that's part of it as well. There is an attraction for folks to move into Pennsylvania. We like that. We're trying to do better to promote that.
Yes.
And I think all of that really has helped to provide kind of a base for the, for the colleges and universities that we have. I mean, I have a very rural district, probably considered by most majors one of the most rural in the country. Now I know there's some places out west where, a member represents the entire state of Wyoming or Montana. But in my congressional district, there's 18 congressional seats in Pennsylvania, but I represent 24% of the landmass. We have people that live back every hollow and on every ridge, and we're spread out. It's very rural, but at the same time, we're blessed with institutions of higher learning. I guess part of that I credit the state system of higher education.
We have some of the best private universities, too.
We do.
Swarthmore, Haverford, Bryn Mawr, Penn.
Yeah, Juniata College,
Franklin and Marshall.
We have a number up in Erie County, Mercyhurst, and Gannon.
Washington and Jefferson.
Yeah, we're very blessed.
In terms of attracting business, Jeff Bezos' Pittsburgh is made one of the top 20 lists. So if you were to meet with him, what would you tell him is the great cultural activities, the sporting events that would make him select the Pittsburgh area for Amazon's second headquarters?
Well, I think that first of all, our greatest asset is our people, and so he will never have a problem finding the people that will work hard, will come with a disciplined nature, will be principled, and will perform well. Because Amazon, like any other business, their #1 asset is a qualified and trained workforce, and so I would put that right on top. That obviously relates directly to the athletic experiences that we have, as well as faith and many other experiences that are out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of great reasons to bring Amazon into Pennsylvania, but I think the people, by and large, is the #1 asset.
So do you think if you took them to a high school game on a Friday night, Penn State game on a Saturday, and Steelers game on a Sunday, that would set the deal?
Be a done deal.
Works for me. Thank you for the time, Representative. It's Jonathan Yates. Thank you for joining us again.